Hi, this is Bill Parkinson, and we're going to take a look at how you install both Sitefinity 4.0 and Iciniti Ecom Suite 5.1. So the first thing we want to do is install Sitefinity, and I've installed a shortcut here on the desk that'll activate their installation routine. So we're just going to click on that. I'm going to click on Create a New Project. I'm going to browse to where I want the new project created, and I'm going to put it in Program Files, and I want to put it inside the Telerik file that I have here. I'm going to create a new directory called Sitefinity 4.0. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to call this new installation TPAC demo. And on the disk that we've given you, there is a license file, so I'm just going to click on Use License File, browse, click on the license file, say Open. This will take a few seconds as it's taking that file and putting it in the appropriate places in Sitefinity. While that's happening, I'm going to flip over, and I've got my MS SQL server open, and I'm going to go in and create a database. I'm going to call the database TPAC demo. I'm going to click on OK because I just want a blank database. So we've got that there. I'm going to go back to the other screen, and we filled in the information that we need. We're going to say Next, and it shows us that we do have a license, we have concurrent users, and I'm going to say Open the administration tool when I click Finish. This is going to take a few moments because it's now in the background creating all the files, loading everything that we need to have a brand new Sitefinity blank project. Okay, so it's installed all of Sitefinity, and now it wants to connect to the database. So we're going to click on the Microsoft SQL Server. And my server name is Iciniti Demo, and you're just going to fill in here whatever your server is called. Put in your username and password, and the database is the one that we created earlier called TPAC Demo. Now it's asking for the administrator. I'm just going to use my name. You can put in here whatever you want. Pick a password that you're used to using. And then I'm done. We're going to log into Sitefinity using the username and password we just created. So what we've done so far is we've created a very, very bare bones Sitefinity. There will be no pages under the Pages category, and we've just landed at the dashboard. Now what I want to do is I'm going to shut this down, and I want to go to the Iciniti installer, and I'm going to install it in the same directory that we put Sitefinity in. If you notice at the end that there's a /Iciniti Ecom Suite 5.1 or something, make sure that it's put back in the root with nothing after it. So now it's installing all of our applications into the same directory as Sitefinity. and click on Finish. Before I start this up, on some operating systems, you need to go in and change one of the settings in your services. So I'm just going to go to Control Panel. I'm going to open up Administrative Tools and Services and ASP.NET State Service. I want to set this to Automatic, and I'm going to start the service. I'm going to apply that and close that down. And now we're going to go back to Sitefinity, and we just want to go to the admin section, and that's going to start up our integrated server. And this is what you use for just testing the site. Eventually we'll have it installed inside of IIS, but for just the testing purposes we'll leave it just in the integrated server. So when we load up Iciniti this time, when we load up Sitefinity this time, you notice that there's an Iciniti icon that wasn't there before, and we're going to click on that. Now if this was a production server, you'd put all the information on the license key that we've given you into here, but because we're just using this for testing and setting up, we can click Next, because as long as it's in localhost, you don't need a license. So now it wants us to connect to the database that we created earlier. So our server is Iciniti demo. And my username and password. And we want to link to the database that we created earlier, TPAC demo. And we want to test that connection, and the connection was okay. So say Next. And it asks us to test the database to make sure that it's up to date. So it tells us that it isn't, so we should update it. And you see across the bottom that it is updating the databases right now, and that update is now complete. So click Next. Now we want to test the ACPAC integration. So again, put in your server name, username, password, and the database that holds ACPAC. And the connection is okay, and notice that this version automatically tells you what version of ACPAC you're running, and it'll accommodate for anything from 5.4 through to 6.0. And we're done. On the last screen, it asks you to load system data or go to the administration menu. Loading system data will put various tables with country codes and states and provinces in them. So we're going to load the system data. And that's done, and now we want to go to the administration menu. I'm going to go back into Iciniti, and this time we want to go into our users, and we want to import the customer logins. And I'm going to tell it to overwrite it, although there should be nothing in the databases. I'm just going to start afresh. And I'm going to tell it to use the customer number, but we could use any of these things for the account number. We recommend that you actually use the email address. And I'm going to use a login of the customer number as well. I'm going to uncheck customers should change password at next login. If this was a live site, you'd want to leave that checked, and you'd probably want to put in here that the password expired every so often. And I like to tell it to use the contact name to display when it's welcoming someone to the site. This is used for multi-language. To check how you want to find out what language this particular user is using. And we're now going to create all these users. And you see that we created them, And if I look at our login screen, it shows me all of the usernames and logins that were created. Now I'm going to go back and I want to import the salespeople from ActPack, and I'm just going to go add all, and it's now completed. I'm going to take a look at customers, and I'm just going to take a look at the default customer setting, and it is WebCust, and this is how we've got it set up. This particular customer, the base web customer, is on the Canadian price list, the currency is Canadian, discount type is base, and the tax group is Ontario. You can set up your web customer however you like, and that's the customer that's used if the person isn't logged in. That's in a B2C environment. And finish, and we're effectively done the base setup of Iciniti Store and Sitefinity. And you can see, we take a look at this, that took us about 15-16 minutes to do. So very, very simple to install the product these days. Thank you, and please keep an eye out for some other videos here to follow shortly.